Heading out to Chicago with one of the most storied franchises. Can they return to their former glory? Let's have a look for fantasy. Mate, I probably wasn't too convincing. I'm not sure the Chicago Bulls can get back into their former glory. Mate, how are you? And what do you think of the Bulls?
Mate, it's great to be here again with you. I appreciate jumping on this with you guys, but I think the Bulls are in a bit of no man's land at the moment, mate. They don't know if they are. They don't know if they aren't. They're just sort of hanging out. They got a bit of young guys here, but they got an old man locking down the posts. So, do they know where they're at?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I'll probably know a bit more where they're at if they decide to sign Giddy. They're fully expected to get a contract together by late August. This one was recorded despite when it came out on the 6th of August. So if you've heard that news, sorry. But yeah, Josh Giddy there, and of course, us being Aussie boys, we always keep a little bit of an eye on it. He's over here in Australia at the moment, but I think that'll set the tone as to, I don't know, what's their ceiling? Like, their ceiling is like for me, is like they're a 45 win team signing Giddy, but they're like a 36 or 38 win team without him, right?
Yeah, they're a playing team. They're probably an 8 or 9 at best, but there's every chance that they miss the play-in as well. So yeah, they have a bit of a ceiling there, but not much.
And they're only really a playing team because they're in the East as well. For me. If they're in the West, they would have to go into full tank mode. If they do decide to go into full tank mode, somebody like Vooch could be shut down, could be traded, and that's actually going to take a bit of effect on where I value the man as well. Big Vooch guy, really like him. Loved him in Orlando. Love the workhorse. To quote maybe some of the NFL guys on our channel, bit of a bell cow. When it comes to NBA. But mate, what's your predicted starting 5 for the Chicago Bulls?
Assuming Giddy goes back, he'll be the point there. Kobe White's he's got to have a breakout season. He had a bit of a breakout season last year, but I think he's fully primed to have a full blown breakout season this year. I reckon Okoro is going to be their starting small forward. He's sort of got to be. They brought him in as part of that Lonzo trade. Booz Ellis is going to get a really, really good run this year. He showed a lot of bright sparks in the back half of last year. Really good to see out of him. And I think Vooch is, going to be the old man locking down the post there.
Yeah, to play and I have Okoro written down, but the more I look at this team, I start to think that maybe they could do a bit of yin and yang and have a look at matchups. Maybe Kevin Huerter might get some burn there in the right matchup. I don't hate their point guards for fantasy if they don't re-sign Giddy. I just think if you take 35 minutes at point guard out for Giddy, which I think he'll get, I'm not interested in blokes like Trey Jones and Javon Carter, who I actually really rate. Watched a lot of him before he got drafted and getting drafted to my Grizzlies. I'd watched a lot of him, and I was actually really high on him in Phoenix when some people went down there for a little bit. But look, mate, they could be exciting and fun to watch if you can say anything about them.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they get Giddy back and they're rolling a starting lineup of Giddy, White, and Booz Ellis, like I'm all in on that youth. Like just rock that youth out there, get out there. Booz Ellis is fast. Like he's going to play the power forward, and he will. They might roll into a small forward. He'll be big man to run there, but he isn't a slow guy, so they could run him there. And mate, do we say the name Patrick Williams could crack that starting lineup here or there?
Oh, fuck that guy. He just ruined many a stream for me. No, I think Zach Collins could play there at the 4 if they need. I really like the fit beside Wemby. at times, but I don't know if I like the fit beside Vooch. Do you?
Nah,
He's
nah.
sort of just got to be playing backup minutes and might get accelerated, if father time comes or Vooch gets injured.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really see anybody else sort of taking that power forward spot from Boozalis. And I think moving him to the 3 is probably not the spot for him. So yeah, I think having him at the 4 is probably where you've got to have him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna harp on it too much, but actually moonlight as an NBL podcaster, and my boy Lockie Ulbrich, I lined up at the blackjack table beside him at the casino after an NBL blitz the other year. So a big boy, a haircut like Pidgeotto, but I do think he'll be more of a guy that plays in the G League unless you've got a lot of injuries. I actually don't even see him being. I think he could be better than a Jalen Smith or somebody like that, but yeah, not going to get a run. I just got to shout out so I can tag my other podcast baseline jumper. But mate, I'm not seeing any guys in the top 3 rounds, which would be my top gun. So I'm gonna accelerate it a little bit up to about the 50th pick. Do you have anyone in there? There's probably a couple. You pick one, and I'll go through the other. Who do you want to talk about in your borderline top 50?
Mate, I am high on Kobe White this year. He just got on the underside of that breakout year last year, and he showed he can take over on the offensive side. And yeah, he's primed to have that breakout year. Obviously, he and Giddy get along really well in that backcourt there, and being they just seem to be getting along really, really well back there. I'm a big fan of him. I think he is primed for that breakout year, and he's probably about due for that. So I'm really high on him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm not sure I'm as high on Kobe White as you, but when you do have a look at his rank after the All Star break, I think it was 34. You do have to at least consider him, and probably some upside. I think I was having a look at his ADP. Kobe White's ADP is currently 54. Look, it's in the realms for that to be in the 30s, in the 40s. And my other guy is Josh Giddey. I'm probably higher on Kobe White if Josh Giddey doesn't get signed. I think a deal will get done. Both parties, it seems to be in their best interest. There's not. I'm actually a bit surprised that there's not a bigger market for Josh Giddey. Are you?
Yeah, I'm surprised. He offers a lot of playmaking that a lot of teams I could see that have use for him. But if he goes back to the Bulls, I think that if he can set up a bit of a long term future there, I could see it being great for him. Obviously, all things for at least on court. Off court's obviously a different discussion, but for the on court stuff, I can see it being a great setup for him from an age group.
Yeah, and I suppose I wonder if he is suffering a little bit from. I mean, I genuinely think that he's somebody, and like we're Australians, so we're going to glaze him. Like there is a bit that can be said from he was the piece that got traded away from the OKC for them to take that next level
Mm.
and I suppose win the championship. But for a young team, or what should be a young team like this, you would think that they would have made Josh Giddey a priority in signing it. And yeah, I don't know if it is something behind closed doors. Of course, we know he's had a little bit of off-field drama there. But yeah, look, he is a
Yeah,
guy that can score 20 a night and flirt with a triple double at times. If you're playing in triple double leagues, Josh Giddey probably gets accelerated a little bit. I have got him in the early 50s, just honestly, just above Kobe White. I think what you lose in points from Kobe White, you gain in rebounds and assists. So yeah, very similar kind of players, really.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can both run that same role, and yeah, I think Kobe will benefit a lot of having Giddy there, but I think also Kobe as a playmaker on his own is good. I think having Giddy's a bit harder because if he goes back to the Bulls, it's great, but for Kobe, I think he's going to be good either way. He's probably a more competent ranking I've got at the moment.
And you do lose a bit of field goal percentage. Free throw percentage when
Mm.
it comes to Josh Giddey. The one thing as a guard, you're probably looking to solidify your free throw percent, but I think he's a 0.75. Um, like on the run. Like it's not elite free throw shooting, which often you get from your point guard. Like that's the position that you really try to solidify that free throw percentage, and you don't get that. So again, looking at certain builds, Josh Giddey's probably a better build depending on who you get in your first couple picks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it depends on where you're at with your build, but yeah, both are good options for sure.
Do you see anyone in the mid range value, probably up until let's go 120?
Yeah, obviously Vooch has a lot of that upside. Again, those fatherly years are there. Oh, Buzella's getting a good run. Someone that does sort of spike a bit of interest for me. I reckon you'd be able to get him later than most others. I imagine he's probably sliding down a lot of people's boards. It's just not a name that seems attractive or sounds good. And Isaac Okoro, he's going to be a starting, small forward for these guys. So probably my few guys there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see Okoro being a guy that you can really draft because he's never been a fantasy sort of player. But Buzelis, I think, has that upside. I could really see myself picking up Buzelis with the last pick. I do wonder if it's because it's kind of a sexy pick too. I do wonder if once more mock drafts and everything, like we're at early August. I do wonder once more mock drafts and everything start to get done that Buzelis does come into that 120s, and I don't think there's much value there. But if he's there with my last pick, I'm talking the 150s, 140s. I'm happy to have a stab in the dark at Buzelis, and he's good. He's extremely talented, and if they lean into that young team, and if ever they decide to move on from Vooch, and like I like Vooch, I would want Vooch, but I also will always be scared of him, like because of his age. I'll be looking to trade him at one stage. You start to get to the All-Star and you have a look where the Bulls are and whether they need to shut him down if they're struggling, or there's just always going to be those question marks with me. I'm not really. I'm in the fade category for Patrick Williams and Ayo Dosunmu. They're not guys that I am interested in at all. I think I've just been burnt too many times by Patrick Williams. Like, how many times do you see him in the waivers and you need, honestly, sometimes you need 12 points to win your week. And he just doesn't get you there. He just hasn't. I think he's an all right player. I just don't think it's conducive to, being a good fantasy player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does his role well, and he's been an if guy for a lot of people for many years. So I just don't think he's gonna. I can't see a breakout year coming and just expect the same as what you got last year out of him. He hasn't gained anything better out of their off-season moves.
Yeah. And what do you think about Dosunmu? Is he somebody that you might have a stab in the dark with in one of those later rounds?
If Giddey doesn't sign, I'll be jumping on board that. If not, I don't think I'm going to be a big fan of it. They do have Trey Jones back there as well, so like there is a little bit going on there. So yeah, if Giddey doesn't sign, I can get behind it.
I'm in the camp of thinking that Kevin Huerter and Isaac Okoro are better than Dosunmu, and I might just be in a different category because I think Dosunmu is definitely somebody that can soak up minutes. Okoro's, that defensive specialist that you need out there. Huerta's out there to hit shots, but yeah, I don't know. Like he's a bit of a I don't want to be rude. Like he's a bit of a nothing player.
Yeah, a bit of a no man's land. He's not really doing any one thing for you. And I think in fantasy, like if you're trying to pick someone up at the back end there, you're probably looking to fill a stat. You're not trying to just get somebody that does meh of everything.
Yeah, like if I need a couple steals and he's sitting there on waivers, that's when he's interesting. I think he's going to average 15 points a game or 14 points a game, but realistically I think there's going to be a lot of 8-point games and a lot of 20-point games for him, and they're just going to go with what feels right. Who's the coach of the Bulls?
That's a real good question. Who is over there?
Yeah, Billy Donovan. He can ride him into the. Yeah, he'll just ride the hot hand. He's had those fluid lineups in the past. So.
Yeah, we've seen what he did with Josh Giddey and Lonzo Ball last year, where that rotation where Giddey was running off the bench at the sort of final parts of the fourth quarter, which was a bit of a weird lineup they did for a bit there and ran Lonzo. So he does a bit of weird stuff. So be prepared for that. That happens.
Mate, anything final to leave on our 9-cat Chicago Bulls preview?
Nah, I think that's about it there. There's a few options, but other than that, there's not really a great deal that I'm going to be jumping all over. Not early.
Yeah, me too. Buzelis is a late round sleeper. I'm probably pretty high on. I'm okay with Giddy's limitations if I've got to get him in the 50s, but doing Australian drafts, he's always going to be overdrafted. So not real good for us. I think realistically, he's probably more of a guy that'll finish in the 60s, 70s as a guy, and he's going to be overdrafted in the 40s and 50s. And you're right, White could have that breakout year. I'm just a bit scared of so many people that can do the same things as these guys, like when they're running the hot hands and everything like that. But yeah, look, Vooch and plan to trade him. That's a great option. But apart from that, I hate Patrick Williams, and that'll end the podcast.
Nice and easy, mate. Great to be here.
Cheerio.